Welcome to Data Leadership for Everyone. I'm your host, Anthony Algbin. Everyone needs to harness the power of data. There's a lot involved in making that happen, and this show is here to make it all a little bit easier. Think of this as an audio advice column for all your data and leadership questions. Keep the questions and topics coming. We've gotten a lot. We need a lot more. So send an email to podcast@dl4e1.com or use our text and voicemail line at 773-888-2077. Today, our awesomely named guest today is Anthony Constantino. Anthony is the co-founder of Sticker Mule, a custom printing company that's taken the internet by storm. He's the creator of an award-winning hot sauce that he created as a joke and an active professional boxer. But his latest project has the potential to be his most impactful. At the helm of Stimulus, a social network that replaces advertising with giveaways, he's out to build a more authentic, happy, and useful social network right when the world needs it the most. Amen. Anthony, welcome to Data Leadership for Everyone.
Great to be here. Always fun to talk to other Anthonys.
Absolutely. I would do a podcast that's only Anthony's if I could, but there's not quite enough of us to go around. But happy to have you on, and you are our first new guest in the new show, so we're excited to have you here today. And this topic, I think, is something that is of particular top of mind for many of us right now. Is, social media is messed up today. Like, there is a lot going on with social media, and there's so many different platforms, so many different different social media sites in disarray. You've got the Elon Musk craziness with Twitter. You've got Facebook challenges. You've got Instagram. You've got, TikTok being, under threat of shutdown all the time. Like, this is a crazy time for social media. And I don't think that anybody out there is like, yes, we are crushing it with social media today. But you're in the fight, you're doing this stuff. And I'm really curious, and our topic today is really about, the future of how we connect online and the correct and ethical ways social media companies should think about user data. But like the layman's term, it's like, how are we going to fix social media? And by we, I mean you. How are you going to help us fix social media?
Yeah, I think, there's a number of issues with social media. One of the fundamental problems with the existing social networks is they were all started by people that, by and large, started their companies to make money. Not that you shouldn't be doing that, but, they're all major wealth seekers that didn't really have the philosophical or ethical background to think those things through. They wanted to get rich, and they succeeded at doing that, both at Facebook and Snapchat and Twitter. But, in an ideal world, given the impact these social companies have on us, and I don't think anyone realized the impact, even the founders of these companies didn't know what they were getting themselves into. You'd want a sort of philosopher king type person, or a person that's at least starting it with a philosophical framework and an interest in doing good rather than just making money. So, fortunately for me, not that I'm this ideal person, but I already had, a great deal of success with Sticker Mule, and I stay away from social. But when I finally dove into it a few years ago, I saw how bad it was. And I don't like to talk and not do things. And I was talking to our CFO one day, and she just said, geez, you see all these issues with social. Why don't you try to, actually do something about it? You like action. And so I think just the fact that we're starting from a background where, we're trying to do the right thing is a big difference between what the other networks were doing. They were out there trying to make money, and they succeeded at that and hurt a lot of people along the way.
So how does that actually manifest in things that these organizations are doing? So because I think top level, totally agree. Like, these companies are out there to make money. We know that when we use social media, we are the product, right? Like, we are the ones that are creating value for that social media company. We're the eyeballs that the advertisers are paying for, right?
Yeah.
How do you switch that up? And what do you think the kind of core of doing something differently to address that? What does that really look like?
Well, we have no obligation to make money at Stimulus right now. We're not making any money at Stimulus. We're exclusive. I say we're sort of an innovation lab to see if we can make social a more positive place. Right now, we're at we're the first social network where everyone's verified because we want to mirror real life. Mark Zuckerberg talks about this thing called the metaverse, where you have like a mirror of real life on the internet, but it's not a real mirror of real life. In real life, people operate under their identity. Your name's Anthony. I know what you look like. My name's Anthony. You know what I look like. If you have an interaction with a human through the majority of human history, you knew their name, you knew their identity, and that fact of life just naturally encourage better behavior among humans. Doesn't mean humans don't get into conflict with each other, because they do. But as soon as you take away identity, all of a sudden, people start changing and acting differently than they would otherwise. So that's one, fundamental difference we have. there's a number of other ones. The other networks, because they were so driven by whatever was interest in power. I think originally it was an interest in money, then maybe later on interest in power.
Mm-hmm.
They monetized and made a lot of decisions that were clearly harmful, and they had no shame in doing so.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas a person that did have a sense of shame and did have a sense of, I don't know, interest in the greater good and not just in the interest of benefiting themselves and their organization, they would have clearly prevented certain types of bad action from happening. So, Twitter let bots run rampant and create malicious tones. Twitter built a lot of stuff into their algorithm where they rewarded hateful conduct. I'm most familiar with Twitter, but like the thing that disturbed me most with Twitter is it was very clear that the Twitter algorithm was rewarding controversy. And it's a game, and people want to win the game. They want to become the most popular player on the network. So you play by the rules of the game. And if the rules of the game say, hey, controversy is how you get attention and grow your platform on Twitter, people are naturally going to do what the game wants them to do. So in order to succeed. So, yeah, that's a fundamental problem with Twitter. If you look at, I'm less familiar with other networks, but if you look at like a lot, like a Snapchat. I have, friends that have kids, and I know for a fact that like drug dealing runs rampant on Snapchat among kids. And I saw it firsthand, and they have to know what's going on. And I knew a father who said, I have no recourse to stop this. My kid actually is, engaged in this behavior, and I don't know what to do. There's no, because it's all in Snapchat. Why don't they get involved and do something about that? But all these networks were started by people that are very interested in making money, and that's one of their fundamental flaws, among other things.
Yeah. So as I think about this, and I believe you in how you can elevate that and not reward that kind of controversy. I have to imagine though, if you're a social network where everyone is verified, you're
Mm-hmm.
going to have real costs associated with doing that verification up front. And so you're
Mm-hmm.
still going to have to find a way to monetize the platform. Will that be through a fee-based model, or is that through an advertising model where, because if you're verified now, all of a sudden you have much more credible customer data. And this is a data leadership podcast. So it's, do you have better data about your users that can then lead to better advertising and more beneficial connections to that? Or how does it actually work when you think about the economics overlay? Because I think once you remove the ethics, it's a lot easier to make money in
Yeah,
almost
at a
any
certain,
context,
you
right?
have to make money. You can't just operate without making money,
Yeah.
But first of all, a verified user base is far more valuable, right,
Mm-hmm.
to advertisers. One of our other things we're doing is, the biggest lever on Twitter to get attention is controversy. The algorithm rewarded it. So we realize like people are playing this game and they want to get attention. So you need to give them levers to pull to get attention. Well, one lever that's really successful, that's positive in nature, is giveaways.
Wow.
So we're the first social network to replace giveaways with advertising. You can attach a giveaway to any of your posts in order to get attention, and that's a positive lever that you can pull. And people use giveaways on all the other networks. The problem is a fundamental problem with giveaways on all the other networks. Number of problems. There's a huge credibility problem. There's a huge trust problem. There's a huge fraud problem because, right, the players on a network aren't verified. So one person can enter the giveaway 100 times or 500 times or 5,000 times. They have no way to stop cheating on the giveaways. The people participating in the giveaways have no way to know if the winners are fairly chosen. There's no one knows how that's done. And then there's no way to know if their prizes are awarded. And then even if you're doing everything on the up and up and you're trying to be, and you are, doing a fair give, well, you can't do a fair giveaway because the participants can always hack the system. But assuming you are picking a winner and issuing a prize, there's a major hurdle for the people doing the giveaways in terms of getting the person the prize and distributing the prize, and that's a fairly complex process. So our network fixes the fraud problem because everyone's verified, fixes the fairness problem because we select the winner in a fair manner, it's randomly chosen, and it fixes the distribution problem because we handle the distribution of the giveaways of the prize as well.
To participate in a giveaway, do you have to agree to something like a being part of an email list or providing some additional information? Or how does
No.
that, like the detail aspect of that?
No, so if you
work?
look at the way people run giveaways in other networks, it's generally you can use the mechanisms that are already on the network. Liking a post, commenting on a post, sharing a post. Things voting. Giveaways combined with verification, combined with voting is really cool, because if you're a business and you want to get feedback on something, you can very quickly get feedback from real people, incentivize them to give feedback, with a post. If you look at Twitter, for example, a business might go on there and do a poll. Maybe they get
Mm-hmm.
27 responses. You come on Stimulus, you can run the same poll, give away a few $100s and get 2,000 responses. So you get better data, and these are all real people. And you can't vote unless you're a verified human. So, yeah, very cool. So we're looking for every way possible to innovate and show people that there was a lot of money left on the table in the world of social, where there just wasn't any interesting innovation,
Mm-hmm.
going on there. So in addition to this, we're the first network to have image polls, which is going to continue getting better. I suspect others might copy that feature, but it's like, why does this not exist? It's just these boring word polls, but we do image polls, which is great for, we've used it.
Mm-hmm.
For example, when we're coming out with a new t-shirt, you can throw 4 different options up and say, which one do you like best? And, the result ends up being pretty interesting.
That's really
Pretty
cool.
useful.
Well, and I just like the idea of using this mechanism for things like market research and
Mm-hmm.
learning how to make a better product or how to distribute a product more effectively or what have you. You're gaining something that's
Yep.
different than just trying to push your product on somebody. And I like that because it's a more earnest collaboration between the business and the social media user where anybody benefits. If you give a giveaway now, a person has a chance to at least have something direct, but then everybody benefits because ultimately the products get better and it's good
Mm-hmm.
happens. So I like
Yep.
that. I think that's a cool
And you're getting
way you've
feedback
connected
from
the pieces on this to drive a better system.
and you're getting feedback from real people, which is lacking on the other systems. You really don't know, is it a real person, or is it, I don't know what is, or where are they located too?
Hmm.
Like, if unfortunately, realistically, if you're a U.S. business, most of your clients are in the United States, like, why do you want you might not want feedback from somebody in Europe or somebody in South America, but and on Twitter and the other networks, you don't really know if the feedback's real or if it's people that are even relevant to your business.
Right. Right. So do you, because I've not used Stimulus
Mm-hmm.
directly, uh, in terms of the kind of content or the kinds of things that people are using and interacting within the social network, uh,
Mm-hmm.
does it feel more like a Facebook or more like a Twitter, or like how do you characterize what the network is for these verified users? Is it a good place to talk to your friends, or is it a good place to have community level conversations or business conversations or whatever it is?
Visually, there's a lot of the designs already been optimized. So if you look at, like, I come from an e-commerce world, and like the idea of like what a checkout looks like has already been decided. So,
Right.
visually it looks a lot like, Twitter. There's some good ideas in Twitter, some good ideas in Facebook that it borrows from.
Yeah.
But it's really its own sort of thing. One of the most interesting things about Stimulus is, we took a little bit of criticism for this in the beginning, that we haven't built a moderation system yet, and we haven't needed it.
Mm.
We've been around for, we officially open for about 6 to 8 months now, and we've had nothing but positive comments. We don't have fights, we don't have nastiness, we don't have really any problems at all. And everyone's like, how are you going to build a social network without moderation? Our theory was, people operate under their own ID, and you remove the algorithmic incentives to misbehave,
Yeah.
you're going to get a better reflection of society. And that's what we've gotten so far, and we haven't really had an issue. We had a minor moderation issue, and we also are the only network to publicly show all of our statistics, so you could see how many users are on the platform, how many verified users, and also how many suspensions we have had. The only suspensions we had to do were for excessive nudity, which
Ah,
we didn't see coming. But we don't have a not safe for work filter yet, and we're not entirely opposed to nudity, but we just said, look, no nudity until we have tools to control this, because you shouldn't. It's sort of like real life. You can't just expose yourself to people without their consent, and so. We asked people to do that, and some people didn't, just insisted on posting nudity, so they got
yeah.
temporarily suspended until we can bring protections in place.
Do you
Put protections in place.
have I do you have both open and closed networks in that? I mean, like when I have my Facebook friends, I can kind of
Mm-hmm.
interact in my own little circle, but if I'm on Twitter, I'm
Yeah.
kind of just wide open.
No,
How
we're,
does
we're,
that
we're
play?
more like it's one
Yeah.
giant community. And,
Mhm.
we're targeting, we're not trying to copy, we're an innovation lab. We want to,
Yeah.
show people that cool stuff can still be done on the internet. We're not targeting anyone. I'd call us more like an internet bazaar, or like a
Oh.
internet mall. We're more focused on also, we're more focused on business than
Mhm.
anything. I think Twitter's very focused on news and political stuff. and, Twitter's very focused on news, probably above all, which is cool. Um, there's
Yeah.
none of these other networks, and another thing lacking. If you look at the other networks, they weren't built by people that ran businesses previously, or understood the challenges marketers face in growing businesses. I came from building Sticker Mule from nothing and into a decent sized company, and so I felt the pain of using these networks and not being able to effectively use them to grow my business. So we're trying to build as many tools as possible to help businesses. First and foremost, is another one of our philosophical principles is, economic well-being is a fundamental human need. So that's one of our, highest priorities. The other networks, if you look at them in terms of Maslow's hierarchy, like they focus on, Twitter in particular, focus on self-actualization, right? You're on there to express yourself. But that's, the majority of people in the world don't have an issue with expressing themselves. That's not their biggest concern. Their biggest concern is money. And so our network is very concerned with helping people in a financial way, whether it's helping businesses grow, or encouraging businesses to run giveaways to help the other side of the other side of the spectrum, which is just regular people that don't necessarily own a business but need money. So we want to both help the businesses and help the community on the networks succeed financially.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think I like free stuff. I like to
Mm-hmm.
get exposure to new things where I can, and that makes a lot of sense. I also think about the context of news is an interesting one because I think it's clear, abundantly clear, that the traditional model of publishing, news media has been destroyed, especially the print newspaper world has been absolutely decimated, largely because of the internet. But I think
Mm-hmm.
many people feel like there's not a good alternative to that now because it's become hyper sensationalized and hyper. There's a lot of um, these bubbles and the just echo chambers of, if you have an opinion, you can find somebody who can keep talking about the opinion that you have and reinforce that without necessarily broadening your perspective on what's actually going on. And so I don't know that we've solved the replacement. We destroyed the old one, but I don't know that we've actually gotten to the new replacement. Have you seen an evolution of that, or what do you think is the future of internet driven news and how people relate to it? Because I can't believe we're at the steady state yet in the evolution past
To be
traditional
totally
news.
honest, it's not stimulus. Our focus isn't
Yeah.
on news, and if you look at our community, they're not engaged in news. We'll get a rare post about some news related topic, but people don't come to Stimulus for news. I think we're
Sure.
focused on commerce and helping people financially. And, believe it or not, like, people enjoy shopping. They like
Mm.
shopping. They like interacting with companies. They like learning about companies. And, that's our focus. I might, get myself in trouble for saying this, but in terms of the evolution of news, I think Twitter under Elon Musk is doing making a lot of good decisions in that
Mm.
regard, particularly with community notes. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but they have the community notes, which is a annotation program for tweets, where
Mm.
they the community can help fight misinformation on Twitter, and that program seems to be a pretty cool innovation. Not anything we're looking at building because we don't have that problem to solve, but
Mhm.
I think Twitter is doing some good stuff in terms of making news
Yeah.
better on the internet under Elon Musk, and I think people should give him an opportunity to see what he ends up doing. Similar, I like, people have an issue with some people have an issue with the guy, but similar to me, I think, I started Stimulus before I knew he was going to acquire Twitter. And I don't think he acquired Twitter to make money. He already had plenty of money. So I think, we're both in a similar situation, that we both started social networks without a strong interest in making money, although, making money is a necessity to have an enduring business. So, I think we both realize that. But I think, unlike the prior, generation one social network founders,
Mhm.
both Stimulus and Twitter have management that, is concerned with the greater good. People might disagree with that, but, that's my perspective. Also,
Yeah.
being
No,
somebody that
I
has
think that's
already
a
made
fair
my money,
statement.
and it's not that I should be praising a potential competitor or whatever, but I like to be honest. I like to be honest.
Yeah, well, and I think it's too easy to sensationalize and kind of dismiss, noise and not see, good things happening as well. It's usually a mixed
Mm-hmm.
collection of good and bad and change, and change is inherently perceived as
Chaotic.
a negative a
Yeah,
lot.
people don't like change. It's chaotic, and he had a huge. He took on a big challenge, but the community notes is a major innovation, and I also believe, to his credit, he calmed the algorithm down so that it's not so rewarding of hateful content, which
Yeah. Well,
Anecdotally,
and
I've seemed to have experienced using Twitter. I remember a year ago, just the amount of hateful content was insane, and it's calmed down a little bit.
that's good. And I appreciate your perspective on this. Just being in the industry and seeing it from that perspective, that's a unique view that we often don't get. But to kind of bring it back to what you're doing directly with stimulus, who are the kinds of businesses that you would want to attract? Because obviously you're trying to attract individual users, but you're also trying to attract businesses to come and participate in this social media platform as well.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a particular kind of business? Is this something that would be appropriate even for business to, B2B types of
I
businesses,
suspect
or
it's
is
going
this
to be most
straight
useful for
B2C?
small business. Are
Yeah.
we want to help people that aren't we want to help people that need it most, right? So like
Mhm.
giveaways are designed to help people that need it most. And in terms of businesses, big businesses are already doing well and good. They don't necessarily need a stimulus, but we're going to be very focused on helping, small businesses. We started as a small business. We know the challenges of growing from nothing, or, we started with just 3, 4 people. So,
Yeah.
we're most interested in helping those people. We suspect those are going to be the people that are most willing to give us a shot because, they're open to exploring and trying something new. And we're going to do our best to be a useful platform for them.
That's great. I mean, I think that especially, the whole small business, the world is stacked against small businesses. It really
Mm-hmm.
is. I mean, the big businesses get tax breaks, they have economies of scale, they have much cheaper medical plans, they have a lot in their favor. And it takes a certain amount of, you know, faith and a certain amount of insanity, I think, to go and start a small business in the
Mm-hmm.
US, and anything we can do to help support them and realize that there's unique things that they can provide that big businesses never will. I'll just tell you an example. Like I had there's a local in my little suburban town, there's a local coffee roaster that I wanted to try out, and they'd sent a 10% off coupon that I tried to use, and it was expired. Like there was a glitch, and they said, oh, that it was expired. So I emailed the people, because I'm like, I don't tell them, no one's going to tell them that this coupon's not working in their WordPress site or whatever they're using for their webpage. And so I emailed the person. I'm like, hey, I tried to use this, couldn't. The person responded with 20% off coupon, and then when they delivered my order, they threw in an extra bag of coffee just because I helped them, and they felt bad that it was a bad experience for me. And I'm like, no big business ever would have done that, would never have even heard me when I said, hey, your thing is broken, and
Mm-hmm.
so that small business touch. And I'm going to be buying, I haven't tried their coffee yet, but if that coffee's as good as I think it might be, I'm going to be buying coffee from them for a long time to come because of this experience. And that's something that, when given the opportunity, small businesses have the ability to rise to the occasion like that, and do something special. So I think this
Mm-hmm.
might be a way to help facilitate those kinds of karma building moments with businesses and potential customers.
And not just treatment of customers, but also treatment of employees. I
Hmm.
would say tends has the potential to be a lot better in small businesses because there's just there's more of a caring atmosphere, and it's easy to manage a small culture and have a great culture for 10, 20, 30 people than it is for hundreds, thousands of people. So yeah, I agree with you. Small businesses are at a major disadvantage, not just because of the tax stuff and whatnot, but also the internet in general. Technology in general tends to form natural monopolies, and companies that have been around for a while, like us, tend to get a natural advantage once you build your tech infrastructure that you can keep building upon. So small businesses that are starting from scratch, need all the tools that they can get to succeed, and we're trying to focus on that.
Yeah, well, and I applaud you in this effort. I mean, take it on social media is not a small swing, man. Like this is a big deal. But I kind of, just from your bio alone, I feel like you are a kind of person who doesn't back down, and is perfectly willing to take a big swing. No boxing pun intended there. But
Yeah.
the it's it's really cool that you've taken this on. In the last minute that we have, do you have anything that you'd like to cover or share with our audience that maybe we didn't get to in the context of the conversation today?
No, I just say nothing's, with what you're just, nothing's guaranteed. And, I can't guarantee we're going to succeed, but, my track record has been pretty good. And I like to take on crazy challenges. You referenced the boxing. Everyone thought I was nuts. I got into professional boxing at, age 39. Right now I'm 4-0, all knockouts. And, while doing all this other stuff. So, Sticker Mule is the only company I ever started. That one succeeded, which people say, usually you fail a few times before you succeed. So I don't like failing at things, and nothing's guaranteed. This is a big challenge, but we're going to do everything we can to make sure it succeeds.
Yeah, that's awesome advice, and that's an awesome approach, and I'll be rooting for you both in the ring and with stimulus. I think you've got the right attitude, and I absolutely hope it works out and continue all the success that you've had. So thank you for being on the show and sharing this with the audience.
Thanks so much, Anthony. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And this podcast is data leadership for everyone. But if you need some data leadership for you, I want to help. So send topics, questions, favorite recipes, sponsorship proposals, whatever, to podcast@dl4e1.com, or my phone number is 773-888-2077. If you'd prefer to text or leave a voicemail, you can find subscription links and all our episodes at dataleadershipforeveryone.com. And until next time, be good to your data, be better to your business, and be best to each other. Now go make an impact.